Hello everybody. Welcome, a nice warm welcome from Amakhala on a very warm morning. We hope that everybody is doing very well today. And we started off with what is, I'm sure, obvious, the three amigos. And they're doing very well. And in case you have just joined us, they have managed to kill two animals over here. Hello everybody, my name's Andrew and I still have Morgan behind the camera. And today has been one of those days that is just so great because we managed to find these three amigos that are on two kills. They did manage to kill two Inyalas, one mother and one young one. So I just must also add on that if you are sensitive to these sort of things, perhaps you should look away. But yeah, anytime you have any questions for us, always welcome. We are going to spend quite a bit of time this late morning with these cheetahs and see what they get up to. And from time to time, we're going to just give a little bit of silent moments just so that you can watch and see what they're going to get up to. Just a brilliant start to a day. So some of you would have already been with us during the sunrise safari, but some of you not. Maybe some of you have just joined the safari, which is great to have you. But just to give you an update, myself and Morgan, we were actually trying to follow up on the male lion this morning who was wandering around not too far from where we started off our drive. And that was sort of our plan. And we thought perhaps we were going to, end up in maybe the dune thickets or even the basin during the drive. But, things did happen and our plans changed. And now we find ourselves all the way up in the north of the Northerns, which we would never have thought we would have done. But yeah, we're going to have to make the most of what is going on here because you're not really going to see this sort of stuff every day where three cheetahs in a coalition have managed to bring down two animals. Now, I might just add that, the cheetahs have made a kill very close to a fence line over here, which it does seem that this is a bit of a pattern. They're obviously using the fence as a net and chasing prey into the fence. So from time to time, if you do see the fence line, we do apologize about that. But then again, we can't control where the animals go, so we make do with what we have. Gillian, you are right. Today is definitely a Cataday. And I just don't know what it is about these Saturdays that we always seem to have the best luck on the cats. And not just here at Amakhala, but on the different areas as well and locations. So definitely a fitting nickname for the day is a Cataday. We really do lose track of days out here. So when I hear, oh, it's Cataday, then my brain immediately calibrates to the week. And then I know that we are in the weekend. Right, while we're just sitting and watching, let's take a look and see what the weather is up to in the different areas. Now, I'm sure you saw that weather update. They said that there was going to be some rains in the Eastern Cape. At the moment, it's gotten a little bit humid and very warm. That could signify that the rain is approaching, and I see the clouds are looking a little bit ominous, but don't worry, we're good for now. We're going to continue watching. It's actually quite strange because we don't often see Nyala on the reserve. If you're very lucky, you actually see them out here. I can't really remember the last time I saw Nyala here. But yeah, these three amigos, they managed to find mom and a young one. And so they've got two kills, two for the price of one, so to speak. I'm wondering if they are going to be able to consume all of it. Alexander, you've got it down there, 100%. Yeah, that's the life of a cat, is eat, sleep, hunt, and repeat, and so on. But I often wonder what goes through their mind when they manage to catch something that is really going to see them through. Because, predators, sometimes they go through these starvation periods. It's very, very normal for that. So what happens is imagine they make a kill like they have now, then they get in tip-top condition and they're looking fabulous, stomachs are full, and then it can take a bit of time before they catch their next meal. It depends on how successful they are. Then they start to go, down in condition, and they get into a starvation period sometimes. We see this typically with lions, but also cheetah. And then they catch something, and then, that increases again and then goes down again. So imagine what must go through their mind that they've caught something. Do they say to themselves, wow, we're going to be good for the next few days? Or is it just an instinct thing where they catch and kill? I guess you would never know what really goes on in their mind. Okay, so we can see one cheetah just at the base of that common quarry over there. The other two have just gone a little bit into the shade, just to the left-hand side somewhere. But it won't take long and they'll stand up and come back here. Maddie, does hunting help with digestion? What's that? Oh, panting. Okay, I get you. Panting, I don't think it helps in digestion. That's their cooling mechanism. So they're very hot at the moment because they do have food in the stomach, and that will metabolize and that gives off heat. So they have to try and cool their bodies down. But because of the amount of food that they've had over the last, I would say, just 2 weeks, and then of course this morning with these kills over here, they will be panting quite a bit, and as a result of that they will lose energy through that, but they're going to gain energy at the same time because they've got plenty of meat over here, and the meat is fresh. Look at that stomach, it is so round at the moment. Now what's very special is that the game reserve and the ecologists have given us permission to off-road a little bit, so we are very much off the road at the moment. And as the days progress and these cheetahs eat and eat and eat, they're going to be using the toilet as well around here. So they leave their scat in sometimes these little places that you can't really see. So the vehicles, and including us, when we come back and try and follow up on these cheetahs, we must really try hard not to drive over their scat because it really does smell bad. We will battle to sit in this vehicle and do what we do with that smell of the cheetah scat. And then also, if just like the other day with Mpo, we did drive over a fresh scat, and essentially we went and rubbed or washed that scat off the vehicle because we noticed that the impalas and the general animals were becoming very nervous by us and running away because they were smelling predator scat. And I remember a good few years ago I drove over lion scat, and wow, that is a horrendous smell. Then we never washed it off. We thought we'd just brave it, and we drove and found an elephant bull, and this elephant bull just charged our vehicle without a moment's notice, and could obviously smell the lion scat and got very nervous. So we don't want those sort of things happening to us. Charles, morning. No, this is not the biggest kill they've had so far. They killed a full-grown female eland about a week ago. That was incredibly impressive. Plus, they've had kudus every now and then. So they're familiar with hunting big game, which makes sense because there's 3 cheetahs, more mouths to feed. They're going to be stronger. They can do more. I'm going to tell you something that about a cheetah that used to be on Amakhala on the main reserve, and he was here for years and years. And you know, sometimes I'm a little bit selective of the people that I tell this information to because a lot of people won't believe it. I didn't believe it myself when I first started at Amakhala. But there was this beautiful male cheetah that used to be on the main reserve, and he alone, by himself, used to catch kudu. Which is, I don't think it's been recorded anywhere else, to be honest with you. And I remember I had a sighting with one of the guides here at Amakhala. I was on the vehicle with him. Just I had nothing to do in the afternoon, so I asked if I could hop on the vehicle and just enjoy. And I was invited to do so. And talking about that previous male cheetah, one of the areas on the reserve where we used to sometimes get lucky and find him when we couldn't find any signs or anything was an area called the Northern Milkwoods. And the one day we drove there and we saw a huge warthog. Big warthog, probably weighing about 80, 90 kilograms. And then we thought to ourselves, nah, the cheetah can't be here. It's impossible. The warthog's grazing right there by the Northern Milkwoods. So we just drove around the tree and we saw the male cheetah laying on its side, and the warthog was sort of grazing within a proximity of about 4 meters away from the cheetah. And the cheetah obviously didn't want anything to do with that big warthog because it's very much a risk for even these 3 male cheetahs over here. If they go for a big warthog, it's going to be a big fight. And so this cheetah wasn't showing any interest in the warthog. And the warthog also figured out, being intelligent as they are, that there's nothing that solitary cheetah would do to him. So it just carried on grazing. And that was phenomenal to see, that sort of interaction. They weren't fighting with each other. The male cheetah was just looking at him, and the warthog was just grazing within a proximity of 5 meters from that cheetah, or 4 meters. It's crazy. Very brave warthog. Oh, that's interesting. Just got some word in my ear from Morgan, one of our directors. Oh, apparently Tess and Morgan saw warthog attacking these 3 amigos. Wow. It must have been a big warthog, eh, Morgan?
Yeah, it couldn't go their way.
Yo. No, warthogs are too powerful. They're underestimated. People don't give them credit for their power, actually. Now, I've never been chased by a warthog, but I often thought to myself, if a warthog had to charge me with those tusks, if there's a tree nearby, you can guarantee I'm going to be on top of that tree like a Christmas decoration. Let's watch this one male cheetah that's busy feeding at the moment. If you're lucky, you might just see him try and drag the carcass again, because even though it's close to those bushes, it's a little bit exposed there. Now, there have already been crows that have been flying over, and that's something they want to avoid, is the crows seeing them, because if the crows start settling on the treetops over here waiting, all the other scavengers and competitors are going to use that as an indicator that there is a kill here. can just hear a few ripping sounds, Shane. Those two are, one is trying to claw the other one a little bit. Shane, they can be very playful with each other. Oh, he's getting boxed in the face there. Ah, look at that, they've just laid right next to one another. Oh, there's some bones crunching now. Such a pretty face, isn't it? Look how big their eyes are. They're huge eyes. And that one cheetah's got himself nicely wrapped up in the branches there. Putting his scent on the branch there. Shame, they look like they are in good spirits. So I'd like to throw something out at you all. If you've seen anything amazing with cheetah, please let us know.
Gracie says she loves watching them running around.
Gracie, you enjoy watching cheetahs running around? I don't think they're going to be running around much today. Sorry, Morgan?
Rolling.
Oh, rolling around. Ah, it's always nice to see them rolling around. And they put their paws in the air. It's not often they actually do that. You know, when they're full like this, if you look at lions, when they're very full, they lay on their back and they lighten the load with the paws in the air. No, we don't see it too much with cheetah. Cheetah, they're usually on their sides when they're full like this. Are you gonna urine mark your brother there? No. Oh, cool. So Morgan, one of our directors, who's in my ear at the moment, she said her most incredible sighting of cheetahs was, I presume it's a coalition of 2 males. Just correct me if I'm wrong there, Morgan. And she saw them chasing waterbuck to the point where the waterbuck ran into the water to escape the cheetahs. Morgan, where was that? Okay, great. That was in the Waterberg area. Just beautiful. I'm just trying to think of the first time I ever saw cheetah in the wild. All right, just excuse me for one moment. I think a vehicle wants to join us on the sighting. Just 1 minute. Standing by. Yes, AFM, you're welcome to take standby. Okay, just to fill you in, what is that all about? Of course, in a game reserve like this, the last thing that we want to do is overcrowd the animals. And so we have sighting procedures that we call, and 2 vehicles on the cheetah sighting and 1 vehicle on standby. So a total of 3 vehicles in the area. And we have to communicate amongst ourselves who takes a standby, who takes approach, who's closer, and we manage it that way. And this is just to avoid overcrowding these beautiful animals out here in the reserve.
So, where was your first time seeing them in the wild?
Yeah, my first time seeing cheetah in the wild. I have to really wind back the clock now. Cheetah in the wild. I think, to be honest, I think it was in one of the game reserves, also in the Waterberg. I don't think I saw cheetah when I was traveling the Kruger National Park with my father. We traveled every single holiday to the bush because my father knew that I was something about me and nature, and he tried to expose it to me as much as he can. So every single holiday, we never went to the beach, we never went to anywhere else but the bush. I don't think we saw cheetah together. I'll just double confirm with my father later on. But I do remember seeing one in the Waterberg, and it was only my first place that I'd ever worked in my entire life as a guide. So I was about 20 years old back then. It was a female cheetah, and she had cubs, but I never saw the cubs. Morgan, do you remember your first time seeing cheetah?
I think it was close to Satara and Kruger.
Oh, in the Kruger.
Males.
3 males in Satara and the Kruger. Beautiful. How old were you back then?
Can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, I know, and to try and remember all the animals that we've seen and the first ones that we've seen, it's a bit difficult. I remember my first leopard sighting. That was also in the Kruger National Park. Ran across the road, a very nervous leopard. And then the first decent sighting I ever had of a leopard was actually in the Timbavati Game Reserve, a beautiful male leopard called Mangajan male. And some of you who worked at Timbavati in those times, you'll be familiar with who I'm talking about. Okay, so I don't want to hog the show. What I think we must do is let's head off to Ralph for now. I believe he's got something he wants to show you.
Molweni, hello everybody and welcome to Escape to Nature, where I'm coming to you live from the Kruger Game Reserve, also in the Eastern Cape, not too far from where Andrew is, but a little bit closer to the coast, and this here is next to the Scotia Dam. My name is Ralph Kirsten, and it's a lovely hot start to the morning. I think it's the calm before the storm, because later on we have a big cold front that is arriving. It's been raining in Cape Town for the last couple of days, and we always know that if that is happening there, it's going to be with us soon. So it's going to hit here tonight. There was a little bit of rain already last night, but now the clouds have dispersed a little bit, but they are still gathering and moving through. The wind coming in from the west now, and that is where the system is coming from, the southwest down towards Cape Town. So nice and warm, lots of animals next to the waterhole, and we'll have to just enjoy it for now, because later on it's not going to be quite like this. The sun is going to disappear and there's going to be lots and lots of rain. But I'm also very happy to hear that those three amigos are still hunting and doing very well. I was following them for a long time too. But there's going to be 2 male coalition cheetahs also released here on the Kariega Game Reserve. Not here on the eastern side, but on the western side. And that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they get along and how their hunting progresses as these 3 giraffe now make their way away from the waterhole. They've had a drink. Now they're probably going to go off and feed in the thickets. So we'll leave them and we'll head back to our stripy friends here next to the water itself. And there were a couple of them lying down having a dust bathe. So Hilda, yeah, those giraffe, it was beautiful, but they've just left now. So we'll go here with our beautiful stripy friends, one of which is having a little dust bathe. A little zebra having a little dust bathe. I'd better enjoy it because later on there's not going to be any dust around, it's going to be all muddy. There's not too much wind to speak of, but it's definitely, the direction has changed from the predominant southeasterly to now southwesterly. And these youngsters have really grown up really fast. I saw them a day after they were born, which was a couple of months ago now. Relaxing in the sand. Beautiful manes. I love the manes on zebra. So Sergey, interesting question. Yeah, fighting between species. I haven't seen giraffe and zebra fighting at all. What I have seen giraffe do, however, it was quite sad, was I saw a giraffe kick a little baby impala to death. It squashed it, which was not nice to watch, and it was quite interesting, and we didn't know why it did it. It was almost just a real act of aggression towards the little baby impala, which was no threat to it at all. And that was up near the Kruger. But otherwise, you can have some competition between antelope and all the plains species, such as Nyala and bushbuck. So there can be a little bit of competing within the thickets. But other than that, not really.
On April 27th, Wild Earth will be celebrating a very special birthday. It's our sweet 16. We want to celebrate you, our viewers who have been with us every step of the way.
I just appreciate you so much.
Send in your birthday wishes so we can include you in the celebrations.
Happy birthday, Wild Earth!
Video yourself saying happy birthday to Wild Earth with a short note and share them with us on birthday@wildearth.
So yeah, lots of birds calling. Nice and early in the morning here. We've got a common fiscal just near to me. We've got the red-fronted tinkerbird constantly calling off in the distance. There's a Cape turtle dove or ringneck dove, southern boo-boo, fork-tailed drongo, and there's that beautiful Scotia tree off in the background. That's also my rear view mirror on the vehicle, so I don't want to get that in the shot. And a black-headed oriole with its very typical bidoo, bidoo. So Malcolm, yeah, thanks for your question. There aren't any crocodiles in this waterhole, and there's no crocodiles naturally in the Eastern Cape. So a few theories, as we have discussed before, but in case you didn't know, the researchers have sort of come up with a couple of different theories. And the one is that it doesn't get, the temperature doesn't sort of maintain enough heat for the crocodiles to hatch. I don't believe that, however, because I think it does definitely get hot enough. In my humble opinion, I think it's because of the soil structure that we have here and the type of soils that we get. Now, along all the natural rivers that we get in the Eastern Cape, it's very muddy on the banks and a lot of clay soils. So when it dries out, it literally turns to concrete. And my theory is, it might have been proven as well, I'm not sure, I haven't seen any research on this particular theory, is that the crocodiles, if they were able to dig their burrow and their nesting site and lay the eggs in there, the potential for the babies to be entombed inside there without being able to get out is very real and very high, and the reason why I believe that there's not any crocodiles here, because the babies would die inside the concrete hardened nesting site once they hatched. So that's why I believe there aren't any crocodiles in the Eastern Cape, because of the prevalence of clay soils. And when it rains, it becomes like slop, and you can very easily get stuck in it, even driving in 4x4s. But as soon as it dries, and it can take just literally a day or two of sun, and it is quite literally like concrete. It's like rock. It's hard as anything. And so I believe it would make life difficult for crocodiles. And it does make our lives difficult as guides, because even tracking animals can be very challenging, because when they walk over these substrates, they don't leave much of an impression because of the hardness of it. So unless there's a fine dust layer on top of it, you don't get to see any tracks. You can see tracks when it's wet, and they can remain there until the next rains. So yeah, difficult for tracking and difficult for crocodiles to nest. So that's my theory. Unless proven otherwise with a better theory, I'm sticking with it. There's a whole group of Inyala coming down, but this zebra is hell-bent on being in the picture. So let's put it on, standing perfectly, with the little one having a scratch on its leg. Look at that, how cute. That's what parents are for, I suppose. Zebras are extremely photogenic. Those nyalas in the corner there just seem to have, some of them have quenched their thirst. The bull still having a drink, the females slowly making their way as well. Yesterday it was extremely windy. There's a lot of activities that have been going on, but a lot had to be cancelled yesterday down at the beach because of the wind. Now Heidi, yeah, this is wonderful interaction with the zebra. It looks like now they're also going to make their way on out of here. I'll just slow it up again. Still see a little bit of that brown color on this little baby. It might be a mix of dirt and its baby fluff. It does look in fine nick. It'll slowly but surely lose that fluff and then get its full adult colors. There's all arms and legs for now. Anyway, that's him heading off. Lovely swish of the tail. It's got quite a good groove going on there. Lovely rhythm for chasing flies. And I saw earlier actually when they were rolling in the dust, the one zebra was using its tail almost like the ostriches do with their neck to sort of gather up the dirt before they then bathe in it. And it was rolling, but it was also swishing the dirt up with its tail, and it was helping getting a lot more dust onto its body. So that's the first time I've really noticed that, and it did seem that it was purposeful or intent. There was intent to use its tail to throw dust on itself. And this is the one with the limp. Shame. I don't quite know what's wrong with it. Courtney. Good question. Two species in our general region in southern Africa of mountain zebra. We get the Hartmann's mountain zebra and we get the Cape mountain zebra. So first and foremost, mountain zebra, as the name suggests, they prefer sort of mountainous or rocky areas. Whereas the plain zebra, or the Burchell zebra, as the name suggests, prefers to be out in the open plains, not so much in that rocky environment. Secondly, the mountain zebra, it's more of a desert-adapted zebra, arid to semi-arid, whereas the plain zebra, it's more water-dependent, and so you won't find them where there's not a healthy supply of fresh water, where they need to drink daily. So yeah, that's just in terms of their habitat and where they like to survive or live. Then the Burchell zebra, we can see here on its belly, it might seem quite indistinct. Those lines do thin on the belly, but they meet all the way generally on its belly. Each zebra is different, but those lines will meet all the way through, so it's quite a continuous band. When you look at the mountain zebra, they stop 3/4 of the way down that belly, and the belly is white, so they don't join the stripes. Then, if we look nice and closely here on its rump, even though this one is quite indistinct, you can still see that shadow stripe of the Burchell zebra. And if we look at another one, we can go on over here, you'll see the same. There is that lighter shadow stripe between the thicker, bigger normal stripes. So that is prevalent on the plain zebra. Mountain zebra, they don't have that shadow stripe. So no shadow stripe on the mountain zebra, and their stomachs are white where the stripes don't meet all the way through like you see with these guys. Then the mountain zebra, they have a dewlap in the throat area, and this, as with other animals, assists with thermoregulation because mountain zebra, as I said, prefer arid to semi-arid habitats. So it's important for them to be able to thermoregulate, especially when it's very hot, and that dewlap assists in that. It forms like a radiator, similar to eland, that also appreciate the hotter, drier environments. What else? So, no dewlap on the plains mountain zebra, no shadow stripe on the, did I say plains mountain zebra? No, I just mixed them up. No shadow stripe on the mountain zebras, and white belly on the mountain zebra as well. So plains zebra are much more widely occurring, and you get them right up through southern Africa, East Africa, and even further north. Whereas the mountain zebras, they stay in more isolated pockets and populations. These are the zebra that you will see in East Africa with the big migrations in Kenya and Tanzania, and very different with the mountain zebra, only small populations, especially in comparison to the size of population of the plains zebra. So the Hartmann's mountain zebra you get up in Namibia, in the desert there, and the Cape mountain zebra you find in the Karoo and in parts of South Africa, but also in our sort of desert areas up on the west coast, the western part of South Africa. That's where we get our Cape mountain zebra. It's also the smallest of all the zebra, and it's the one with the smallest population as well. So those ones that you see on Amakhala, we're very privileged to see them, and because you don't see them in many places at all. Just slowly making their way. Both the plain zebra and the mountain zebras, they are bulk grazers, so they can have quite a heavy effect on their environment in terms of grazing capacity, and they can overgraze particular spots if they have overpopulations, depending on where they are. Here it is the carrying capacity of these particular reserves in the Eastern Cape is very big, so it's easier for them to have larger numbers in these particular parts. These two just seem to be sticking together. haven't seen Stompy yet this morning. Maybe he'll show up a little bit later. So yeah, very peaceful, very calm here next to the Scotia Dam. I also find that the mountain zebra sort of are generally a lot more fitter looking. They look stronger, they look not as fat as the plain zebra. And obviously it's all to do with the terrain that they live in. They're a little bit hardcore, in comparison to these guys, because these plain zebra live in, paradise, whereas the mountain zebra, they've got to work a little bit harder to survive. So yeah, I think their body shape and everything sort of looks fitter as a result. I'm just going to pan across. So I'm going to spin on round and get back over to the waterhole, and while I'm making my way over there, you make your way on over to Lisa.
Thank you, Rolf, and good morning. Goeiemorgen, everyone. I hope everyone is having a beautiful Saturday. We are currently at the lovely Gowrie Dam, of course, on the Djuma Dam cam with the help of our wonderful Zoomies. But of course, as many of you know, my name is Lisa and I'm the waterhole naturalist, and I am very, very happy to be spending this weekend with all of you. As you can see, we do have a hippopotamus. I think it's Dewey. To be honest with you, I never know, because the hippos move around so much, especially now that there is an abundance of water in Djuma and in the whole Sabi Sand, really. I have to say, while we were there now, literally all of the dams and pans and everything are still full and looking great for the animals. But hopefully we will see a lot of animals here today. Hoping for some elephants, either here or in Ukokoyo. But again, we never know. We will just take and appreciate everything as it comes. But remember, we are live and we are very much interactive, as many of you know. So please do keep those questions and comments coming. We would love to hear from you. And what I was thinking we could do today and tomorrow in terms of quizzing, because I know many of you are always keen for that, I realize I've not looked in my Trails Guide manual for quite some time. And there's a lot of interesting facts in here. A lot. It's a very small book, but the actual information that it provides is a lot. So while we are looking at this hippo, of course, hippos are not part of the big five, but hippos are considered dangerous game when you are walking on foot. As a guide, as a guest in the bush, of course, we are much more vulnerable in the bush when we are actually on foot, because then animals perceive us for what we are. They don't just see this one big massive vehicle with just some things moving in and around every now and again. So what I would like to know from you is two things for now. What is the charging speed per second of a hippo, and what is the charging speed per hour? I know we tend to think that all of these big animals, they must be very slow, but a hippo is one of those animals that if you come too close to a waterhole, they are not impressed with you and they will do whatever it takes to sort of emphasize that this is their territory. And not just here at Gowrie Dam, not just at Treehouse Dams, Twin Dams, anywhere in the world really. If there's a hippo and there's a waterhole and you are approaching way too close, that animal's not going to be impressed with you. So let me know. I'm sure many of you will know this answer. But of course, just to the left of our hippopotamus, there's some terrapins on the log as well. And they are not mammals like the hippo. They are also not dangerous, or as dangerous, I should say, as the hippo. They are reptiles. They're just sunbasking, trying to heat themselves up, which I can tell you, I would not survive as a reptile. I don't like the cold. I can't deal with it if I have to, go through extra effort to heat myself up. But I would love to hear from you. What is the charging speed per second and per hour? Goodness, struggling to English today. Of a hippopotamus. And I know many of you know how dangerous they are. And the only reason they are not considered one of the big five is the fact that they are aquatic mammals. So big five, the lion, leopard, rhino, buffalo, and elephant. Those animals are considered the big, scary, dangerous five on foot, but also on land. So hippo, when we are actually studying and training for our trails guide qualification, then they are definitely considered one of the dangerous game. So let me know. If you need to research it, by all means do so. Oh, living your best life, terrapin. Just imagine. I wonder if these animals have any thoughts. Oh, I love this log. It has been my favorite log since I've lived in Gowrie Dam. Well, they just sort of like, let me just find anywhere I can sunbask. I wonder if they communicate. If this hippo and this terrapin can communicate in any matter at all. Just like a lot of the antelopes, impalas know immediately when monkeys are alarm calling, they know something's wrong. Something is not right. There's something dangerous lurking about. So, surely there must be a similar thing for the for the aquatic creatures as well. Perhaps they are just chatting. But as you can hear and see, it is a very peaceful day here in Djuma. The wind is blowing a little bit. The sun is out. Hopefully we'll get to see some critters around. But again, as always, even if we don't, we are perfectly fine with just listening to the bird calls, watching Mother Nature unravel right in front of our eyes. And people tend to think, observing Mother Nature or watching Mother Nature unravel always means that there has to be action. There has to be a lion that hunts an impala, or like this morning on Sunrise Safari, impalas hunting lion, which was a very, very interesting interaction for myself to observe. I know our directors had a good giggle at that. But that's not what Mother Nature is about. It's about everything, from the flowers to the plants, to the big animals, the smaller reptiles, the insects, just everything, and having sheer appreciation for absolutely everything that we see. is already such a massive bonus.
Wild Earth is looking for unique wildlife sightings filmed by you. They can be old or new, from anywhere in the world, and filmed on a camera or on your phone. In return, we will give you cash and a chance to see your clip on TV with your name in the credits. It's easy. Post your clip to Instagram with the hashtag WildEarthClips. Get selected and get paid. Head over to wildearth.tv/content to find out more.
Courtney, thank you so much for your answer. Woo, I love your accuracy. You are saying charging speed of a hippo per hour is 30 kilometers per hour, and then per second 8.3 meters per second. Isn't that incredible? And of course, the rest of you that also sent through your answers, thank you so much. I thought, let us chat a bit about this today. But yes, isn't that incredible? Darcy Miller, you also said 30 kilometers per hour. Correct, you are. So in our manuals, as I said, the Trails Guide manual, it states that the charging speed per second is 10 meters per second, and then per hour is 36 kilometers per hour. But I mean, obviously, just like I always say, you know, with anything in the wild, you cannot put animals in a box and say, this is the average speed and this is always what it's going to be. It's not always the case. Animals differ. Also depends on how angry that animal is or how determined that animal is. But isn't it incredible to think that such a massive animal can move at that rate? And again, that is why if you ever find yourself, whether you are in a national park or in a reserve or in a private game reserve, please, please, please always be careful. Especially if you are getting out at a waterhole, just make sure you check the vicinity. And not just the water, you know, so many times that we were in the Sabi Sand now, we actually quite a few times, you know, we would walk to the gate to just go close the gate at night. And it's not really even a gate. It's literally a wire that my aunt has to keep the elephants from coming into the actual property. But even then, I think 3 out of the 4 nights, we had a hippo on the move in the property, on the lawn, just doing its thing. So hippos can, of course, be active at any time. For the most part, we learned that they are mostly active during the night, as soon as it's cooled off. However, that being said, I will tell you that for me, in my personal experience, in the winter times, they can be active a lot during the daytime as well. Because, of course, winter in Africa is a little bit cooler. And not necessarily just active. You might just find them sunbasking on a bank. And again, just like a rhino, just like a buffalo, an elephant, they camouflage so well. Oh, we've got a hornbill. Good morning. Good morning, sire. Good morning, Zazu. Oh, I always think of that. But that being said, I have to be honest with you. The original Lion King definitely is the best for me. You may differ with me, of course, if you'd like, but I think of all the Disney movies, really, the original animations really remain the best. And it's incredible to think what they were able to do back then, you know, creating movies and films and series and all sorts of things, cartoons. But this is definitely, and I think for a lot of people, for me personally, I've seen with guests, if they do not know what this is, you say Zazu, and then they immediately, they realize, oh yes, all right, got it. But hopefully we'll get to see a lot of birds today in Djuma. As I always say, birding is always a guarantee. For the most part, 99% of the time. If there are no active mammals around, there's always a bird somewhere. And even if you cannot see them, you can always hear them. I was so bummed out actually now. I think 2 times there was a black-headed oriole in perfect shot for me to actually take a photograph of. And of course, just as I wanted to zoom and, you know, get the focus right and everything, this stupid bird took off. And everywhere he went, he would just keep calling, teasing me. So sadly, I never got a shot of the black-headed oriole. But these guys in the Sabi Sand, they are always a guarantee. Right throughout the year. And off it goes. Hopefully you are on your way to Mufasa to give us an update, or to have Mufasa come over here. Mufasa, Simba, Nala, whoever you'd like to call. We're open to anyone. Oh, it's just so lush and fluffy and green here. I love it. However, I will tell you, I think we probably drove past 5 leopards and at least 1 lion pride while we were here. It is just so long everywhere in the Sabi Sand. But while we wait for the animals, my next question with regards to when you are with animals on foot. And this is always a good thing to consider as well, even when you are in a vehicle, because, you know, it just sort of opens your mind a little more. But animals have 4 zones with regards to their comfort, their personal space. What are those zones? I will give you the first one, which is a comfort zone. And that is the furthest away that you are from an animal, meaning they are still very much comfortable. They are perfectly fine with your presence. But then after that comes another 3 zones. What are those zones? And if I'm not being too clear on my questions, you're more than welcome to tell me. Lisa, what do you mean? You are making no sense. But These are definitely very, very good to know, even when you are just in a national park, in a vehicle. We tend to think that animals are so used to the vehicles. It's fine, it's fine. Oh, what a peaceful day. And you can already see a slight coloration difference in all of the various trees. And we'll slowly start seeing the transition in the next few weeks as well. Some of the trees, however, are evergreen. They will not be shedding their leaves, but a lot of the other trees actually do shed their leaves so that they can store the nutrition, the water in the roots, and that way they don't have to maintain it in the winter time. Because of course, especially in this location, our rainfall comes only in the summertime. But it's going to be interesting. I think a lot of the trees will only be shedding a little bit later. Isn't that incredible to know and to even think that Mother Nature knows these things without anyone having to tell it? Oh, hello, butterfly. Come on, animals. You need to wake up now. Oh, we've got a fork-tailed drongo. These are also very interesting birds to be watching while you are observing the bigger mammals. Like a lot of the other birds, like cattle egret, but cattle egret, of course, physically moves on the ground. But the drongos, is this a drongo? No, it is not. Oi. But the drongos, what they do is they actually wait for the animals. They'll follow the animals and perch in the different bushes and branches. And they'll wait for the animals to disturb the various insects. And that way they can just quickly swoop in and get a bit of breakfast, lunch, dinner. And again, how incredible to think that that bird knows that. It's a little bit difficult. Oh, you silly bird. And we are zoomed in the most we can right now. All right, bird. Thank you so much. And you're back. But just judging by the wings, I do think that may have been an ant-eating chat. Generally, as they open their wings, they've got that white coloration underneath. But anyway, we shall move on and see what else is around in Djuma. Alex, good morning, and thank you so much for your answer. We really appreciate it. You are saying feeding zone, resting zone, and olfactory zone. So those are good suggestions and good answers. These zones that I'm specifically referring to are when you are on foot, approaching an animal. They've got certain zones of comfort. So if this makes it a little bit difficult, not difficult, a little bit more simple, the first one is a comfort zone. The last one is a critical zone. So what are the two zones in between? And this is, as I say, specifically when you're on foot approaching an animal, this refers to their comfort and the probability of them charging at you. Joey the Bull, thank you so much. You are saying territorial zone, migration routes, dispersal zones. Also very, very good suggestions. As I say, this one in particular is for us as Trails Guide when we are studying and practicing to take guests on walks. Let's say you are perhaps encountering an elephant. When you are very, very far away, that animal is still in its comfort zone. But if you are getting too close to the animal and it's getting ready to charge, I almost want to say when it's just too late, then it becomes the critical zone. So between comfort zone and critical zone, there are still two zones left for that animal. And again, you know, all of this will be communicated to a Homo sapien via behavior, whether it's opening the ears, whether it's hissing or growling from the predators. But you guys are more or less on the right route. Just think more about how the animal would feel. If it's in the comfort zone, of course, it's very, very comfortable with you. If you get closer to that animal, what does it become? It becomes more vigilant. And then the next zone is it's going to do something to tell you, listen, you are now irritating me a little bit. And as I say, the last zone is the critical zone. That is when the animal is most probably going to charge and you are going to need a new pair of underpants. Wee. Wee. And it's very interesting when you actually start observing animals. Not just the big five and a hippo, you know, all of the dangerous game, all of the animals. Whether it's an impala, whether it's a hyena even, all of these animals have different ways of telling you, listen, I'm not comfortable with what's happening. And again, every single animal would be different in every area. You could have impala in Djuma, you could have impala in Pridelands, impala in Madikwe, impala in Pilanesberg even. They are all going to react differently to different situations, just like humans. Our circumstances influence our behavior and also what's happened to you. Perhaps, you know, one of them has had a very traumatic experience and they don't like people, vehicles, certain smells. But even with all of these zones that I'm referring to, as I say, circumstances are going to influence the animal's behavior. I have always said, in my 10 plus years of guiding, there's no such thing as the animal just attacked us. It came out of nowhere. In the very few cases of perhaps that animal being provoked before you got there, yes, but an animal will always warn you, because to them it's also a risk. Whether you are on foot, whether you are in a vehicle, they don't know what you are. They get used to us, yes, they get used to our different pheromones and smells and all of that. But if animals are on a kill, if they've got cubs, if they've got calves, that is also going to influence their behavior towards anything really, towards lions, towards us. So those are definitely things that we always need to consider as well. I mean, when we were in Sabi now, on our last sunset safari, we went and unfortunately it started raining quite profusely. So eventually we headed back to camp. I was perfectly fine staying out, but our driver was not. And we did luckily find a herd of elephants with babies. And so as we approached them, I told Peter, it's fine, you can stop just here. And you could see the cow was immediately, first of all, it was rather windy. And we know that animals are a little bit more vigilant and on edge when it becomes windy, because they can't always tell where smells and noises and things are coming from. And as this cow came closer, she had a very small calf with her as well. And you know, I just spoke to her and said, it's fine, don't worry, we're here to just look at you. But still bearing in mind that they were there first, that this is their habitat, and that we are merely visitors. A lot of the times, you know, we tend to think that, oh, it's our right to see these animals, and we are allowed to be here. At the end of the day, we are always visitors. Whether we are in Djuma, whether you find yourself wherever you go in the world, in a park, in a reserve, in a zoo even, which I'm not always fond of, but at the end of the day, it's always their right to be there. And we have to give them as much space as possible. Good morning, Thickness. What are your plans for the day? I wonder if the animals ever have a plan. Or if everything is really just spontaneous and spur of the moment. Like an elephant matriarch, for instance. Let's say there's a very, very new calf in that herd. Of course, they to some extent do know that, okay, well, we can't travel too far. We can't exhaust this baby too quickly. So today, perhaps we shall just stick around in this area. And again, everything is going to influence that. Just like when we are on safari, yes, we can have a plan, but everything changes as you go. Whether it's predators in the area, perhaps, the weather, everything influences everything that these animals do. What a peaceful day. Hopefully it is the quiet before the storm. Perhaps we'll get to see some elephants or even just impala. I mean, I would be perfectly happy with impala. I actually asked my aunt the other night, because of course, you know, she's seen everything. She's lived in the bush for such a long time. And from the various interactions to actual sightings to just animals at her, literally in her backyard. And I asked her, what is your favorite animal? And she said, I love the impalas. They are just so graceful and beautiful. And she just loves observing them, especially at night when they come to come to sleep on her lawn. But she says she loves everything about them. Just the way that they move around, how graceful they are, how delicate the females are with their lambs. But we will keep an eye on the Djuma Dam cam as well as Okokoyo, and I'll keep you posted. But for now, I'm going to send you over to some necking giraffes.
So we've got these two giraffe that it seems like there's actually been quite a lot or an increase in the aggressive necking going on within the group of giraffes that we have here on Kariega. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to come out the winner here. They look like they're very evenly matched. You don't necessarily have a winner immediately. It can take some time for them to establish who is dominant, and I've noticed that it can even continue on for weeks between them, so it doesn't always just have a clear-cut winner. And they're looking back towards the rest of the giraffe who are down by the waterhole, and they're also just watching them, so it's like a bit of a spectator sport, this. So you can see we're getting a bit more shade now. Lots of clouds pulling in. It's starting to close up, and the wind is picking up as well. So I wonder how long it's going to take before we get rained on. They seem to have paused the necking competition. So just have a look here, because they're looking at the rest of the giraffe who are just over here. There they are. So it's a bit like the peanut gallery. Let's go back. These two seem to have now stopped.
Whoa, that's epic.
Garden orb-web spider.
Some African wild dogs and they're chasing something.
I can honestly say I've never seen anything like that before.
Hey, can you believe it?
That is amazing.
So, if any viewers have just joined us, hello and welcome to Escape to Nature, where I'm coming to you live from the Kariega Game Reserve in the Eastern Cape. It's been wonderful watching these giraffe necking. There's quite a lot of giraffes that have come down here next to the waterhole, and I was a little bit earlier just watching some zebra. And just so that you know as well, Andrew is out on the Amakhala Game Reserve, and he's been with the 3 Amigo cheetah who have got themselves a kill. So he's been spending time with them. And then Lisa, who's on the dam cams, she's had a hippo at Djuma. Don't quite know if it's Dewey, the hippo character that normally is in that waterhole, but a hippo nonetheless. And as always, please don't forget that this is an interactive experience. So please jump on board with us on the biggest game drive in the world. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments, or ask any questions that you'd like to know about, or whatever it might be. Send it through. Righty, I think this is about round 3 now. Can actually hear off in the distance a crowned eagle. It's like, as with all birds of prey, quite a high-pitched call, but it's like weep, 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 weep. It's a bit windy now, so difficult to hear. So, Sergey, you'd be absolutely correct. That is one of the scotias there in the background, and that's as high as they can reach, and that's where the browse line is from the giraffe. They really do like the scotia leaves. So it's been nicely trimmed by the giraffe, and they constantly try and get, if there's any new growth, it's very quickly plucked off by a passing giraffe. So they're taking a wide stance now and pushing against each other. The fight continues even when they're not necking. They do sort of barge each other around. It's a bit like wrestling now. This is the wrestling part. Ooh, they're getting really into it now. Kim, you can tell that it's not friendly by the real force that's been put into this. They're smacking each other very, very hard. So it is a struggle for dominance. And yeah, as I say, this can continue on for extended periods. And you don't necessarily have an outright winner at any given point. They can continue on with this, and I have seen giraffe getting knocked down, particularly in Etosha National Park. That's where I've seen these sort of the biggest fights between giraffe, and one literally being knocked onto its side on the ground and sprawling. So then there was an outright winner, as once it eventually got up, it sort of moved off and had resigned itself to defeat. And it didn't look like it was feeling very well after that as well. So I think it probably had a headache, because it did get hit in the head a few times. So this isn't too bad of a fight, but definitely you can tell it's not friendly fire at all. So the increase in wind is quite noticeable now, and there's quite a drop in temperature as well. So I think that this cold front is now arriving upon us right at this moment. There was a little bit of clouds being pushed in front of it that gave us a bit of rain last night, but it was still very hot this morning. Still that hot air being pushed in front of the cold front, but now you can feel a significant drop in temperature, and around this time of the day we should have an increase in temperature. So the system is now arriving. A nice big old bull arriving here in the background. This might calm these two a little bit, because this would be a master of necking. He's gotten to that age and put these two youngsters to shame. Probably also want to make his way through and go for a drink. And off here on the right, very cute, very, very cool, mommy and baby. Look at that. Looks like the youngster wanted to help Mom with her itch. So, and just a note on the Quiz Mania Marathon. This is obviously in aid of Earth Month, and it will be due to everybody traveling on Easter. Quizmania is not going to be held on the 8th of April, but it's going to... is the 8th today? I can't even remember which day it is. Anyway, it will resume on the 15th, and those teams that have registered will be participating and will be sent emails with all the communications. Just see the dark skies now. There's a little bit of a gap where the sun is shining through now. I think it's going to disappear again. It's really getting dark and grey, with a few little holes in it though, where the sun is piercing through every now and then. There goes Mom walking in the background, little baby. These two have stopped necking. Baby was looking like it was going to come down towards me, and it's just stopped for a scratch. I think giraffe will probably be very good at stare downs, because they seem to do it a lot. They stare at each other, they stare at us. All the while, very quiet, silent animals. Pretty sure the itch will be as a result of ticks, because they really do make you itchy. And an ostrich there in the background. See its head and neck poking up every now and then. So James, I'm pretty sure it can. They could literally, they could break a jaw, or which would then stop the other one being able to eat, and they could probably fracture a skull. Now I've seen one knocked out. I haven't seen one killed, but I've seen one literally knocked out. So it was out cold for a couple of minutes on the ground. I thought it was dead. But then it stood up again after sort of wheel spinning, flailing legs after it woke up, and then eventually got up. So I'm pretty sure there would be times, I don't think it would be very common, but I'm sure there will be times when they can actually kill each other. Especially when there's two mature big bulls, experienced, and they go for it. Maybe a big bull versus a smaller one that tries his luck. You could get beaten up quite badly, and I'm pretty sure it could actually kill him, a younger one. So the match continues here between these two. I'm pretty sure they're going to continue on with this fight for the next couple of hours. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens and who is indeed the winner, if there is one at all. Anyway, from these fighting of the tallest land mammals, let's head you on over to the heaviest with Lisa.
Look who came to visit. It was so unexpected. I was just browsing around. And to be honest with you, it's fairly peaceful here at Gowrie Dam. And then I saw, is that a trunk? And it is. As you can see, it's a beautiful elephant bull. Hopefully we will get to see the face as well and not just the bottom. But rather interesting. He chased away 2 lapwings just now and seems to be claiming this area as his own now. But hopefully he goes in for a swim. Maybe we'll see some interaction between the elephant and the hippo. What are you doing? It almost seems like he wants to chase something away. But speaking of which, I am still waiting for your answers on the zones that animals have when we approach them on foot. As I said, the first one is the comfort zone. That is the best one to be in. It means the animals do not mind you. And then the last one is the critical zone. So what are the zones in between? And really think of something like an elephant. If you were to approach an elephant on foot, comfort zone being you are far enough away that elephant does not mind you being there. As soon as you move a little bit closer, that animal is going to become vigilant and aware of you and will then be more what? And then after that, that animal is going to do something to tell you, listen, I'm now irritated, it's official. And then the critical zone is when it's almost too late. But luckily this elephant has no idea that we are here. Thankfully. I think a lot of these animals would probably be like, phew, it's the noisy one again. But you can see he's just taking it easy. We do know that elephants can actually take a nap or switch off or go onto autopilot when they are busy doing something, whether it's feeding or drinking. But you see, resting the trunk as well just over one of the tusks. You can imagine that trunk alone has got 30,000 plus muscles in it. So that is really heavy to carry around the whole day, to use the whole day. So every now and again you will actually see elephants just resting it on their tusks, just so they can take a little bit of the weight off. Morgan is saying that, that trunk is nothing. The amount of muscles this elephant has in its trunk is the amount of muscle she's got in her arms. She can take on Paul any day. I would love to see that, Morgs. I've actually thought about that many a times. We should have all of the tech teams and the directors and the camera operators. We should put all of you in front of a camera and see what you guys can do for us. I think it would be very interesting. Joey the Bull, you are saying, is it perhaps the fight and flight zone and then the alert zone? You are very, very, very much correct on the alert zone. So we've got the comfort zone, the alert zone, and then before the critical zone, we've got the warning zone. So when you are approaching an animal, and again, any animal, impalas have this, zebras, mongoose, elephants. Oof. I just want to emphasize that this is in fact a bull, a male elephant. But yes, when an animal is being approached, especially on foot, the comfort zone is the best place to be in, because that means the animal is perfectly fine with you. They are not bothered by your presence or anything. Alert zone means that they have now become aware of you. They know you are there. And they are just still making sure that, you don't come too close. Warning zone is already a very dangerous zone to be in, because that is when the animal's telling you, listen, I've now had enough of you. And they either open the ears, lift the trunk, like with elephants. A rhino will often snort, and they'll sort of mock charge you. And then critical zone is when an animal is definitely mock charging you, or either definitely charging you. And that is not always the best place to be in. So for those of you that got it correct or not correct, that is not common knowledge, so not to worry. But as I say, it's always good to think about these things as well. Even if you are on a vehicle, on safari, with a guide, without a guide, in a national park, in a reserve, whichever animals you have around you, always just think of those things. Because I too know that it's wonderful, to see animals up close and personal. And I've had many a sightings where guests have told me, go closer, and this isn't even on foot. And the more you try to emphasize, listen, this animal's perfectly fine, I'm not going to risk it. You've got a bazooka for camera, so I don't know why you're complaining. But always just consider the animals. I know for us, we tend to always think about ourselves first and the best photograph and shot for us first, but at the end of the day, we are in their habitat, in their territory, in their homes. Unfortunately, he is just disappearing a little bit now out of view. Hopefully he comes back to the other side of the waterhole. Hopefully he actually goes in for a swim. Morgan, that's a very difficult question. What has been my best favorite elephant sighting in the entire world? Ooh, that's really difficult. Because of course, I've had a lot of elephant moments with elephants that were rehabilitated, with wild elephants. But I would have to say, if I had to pick just one, probably when I was working in the Waterbergs. It was a massive reserve, and there was an upper escarpment and a lower escarpment. And between the two, there was a link road, but there were literally just two places where you could bypass another vehicle, or in my case, bypass an elephant. And if you were to stray off the road, you would literally fall off the mountain. Without being dramatic, that is what it was. And as I was going up, there was this elephant cow coming down. And we were rather far away from a linking area. And I think for probably 2 kilometers, I had to reverse with her coming down. Of course, she's moving faster than she's actually anticipating or intending to, because she's massive, it's downslope, and it was rather nerve-wracking, I think, for both of us. But eventually we got to one of those linking areas, and as she bypassed me, she stopped, and obviously the whole time I kept talking to her just to sort of calm her down as well. And she just put her trunk in my face, not like just almost touching, and I kept talking to her, and then eventually she moved on. And as I say, that was nerve-wracking for so many reasons. I mean, it's dangerous for both of us, but also I don't think any of us knew how to handle that. Luckily I didn't have guests with me on the vehicle, but that was rather incredible. But I mean, Morgan, you know me, I love elephants. So any elephant moment, whether they are just feeding, eating, swimming, whatever they are doing, I always find them absolutely fascinating. But let me know what has been your favorite elephant moment. Morgan, viewers, whether it's been on safari or just on Wild Earth, perhaps on one of the experiences you've shared with us. I would love to hear from all of you. Huh? That was so brief, but luckily we got to see him.
It's that exciting egg hunting time of the year again.
Treasure hunt, here we come.
This year for Easter, we are challenging our naturalists to a special Easter treasure hunt, which will of course feature the Easter scrub hare.
I think I want this one.
Come along as they search for clues, solve riddles, and hunt for a chocolate-flavored Easter prize on safari. Hop into Easter this year with Wild Earth.
That was just incredible. I'm just waiting to see if they're going to come out again. But we literally just had the parrot couple swapping around. So one of them were inside and the other one was on the outside, and they literally just swapped on over. So the other one coming into the nest. And I think that the chicks have, hello, that the chicks may have hatched already. I'm not too sure. They might still be incubating, but you never know. Of course, we won't know until we physically see them. But speaking of birds and the discussion about the Trails Guide manual that we have to study and practice as guides that want to start taking guests on walks and so forth. Which birds can you use to indicate rhinos and buffaloes? If you are on foot and you hear a flock of certain birds or certain bird species, then you know there is most probably either a herd of buffalo around or a rhino or two. What do you think those birds are? And there's more than one, so you're more than welcome to send whatever you think. Oh, hello, beautiful. I love it when they come out. You can see the other one is just to the top, just on the right of the actual tree branch. Are you guys going to do another swap? What's happening now? Oh, aren't they magnificent? Ooh, okay. Never mind. Oh, that was incredible. And it's rare to see both of them on the outside. You know, generally there will be one on the inside and the other one will be on the outside, keeping a lookout, collecting food. But as I say, it's such a deceiving bird, especially if you are just seeing the head. But as soon as they come out, you see that beautiful green neon plumage. And they are called the brown-headed parrot. Ooh, look at this. This is very, very cool. Not something you get to see too often. I would love to know from all of you, what do you think this is? What lizard is this one? And you're more than welcome to guess. But it is not on an actual fence. Of course, this marula is just being protected with wiring, just to keep the little bit of bark intact. But again, this just goes to show how incredible animals are and how they just adapt to all of our nonsense. All of our infrastructures and fences and things that we put out there. They're like, that's fine. We'll just move around it. Woo, wait for us, lizard. But while I wait for your answers on what you think this lizard is, remember, back to school is also back. So that'll be happening every Wednesday from the 12th of April. And of course, the teachers can go register at wildearth.tv/kids. I think it's brilliant. I think it's so necessary for us to inspire the youth as well to want to care for wildlife, to want to learn about them, and to preserve them for as long as we can. How cool is this lizard? This is a first for me on the Djuma Dam cam. It's almost like our instant crocodile that Tess and I had the other day. I had such a giggle. So I said to her, Tess, what is an instant crocodile? And she said, no, you just add water. But then one of our viewers actually meant infant crocodile. But this is not a crocodile, if that was perhaps your guess. It would be rather funny. Come on back. Look at that. Isn't that camouflage insane? So I will give you a bit of a hint. It is one of three. It's either a tree agama, a southern rock agama, or distance ground agama. Which one of those do you think this beautiful lizard is? And please, if you do not know them, please do go look them up. They look very similar at times. But which one do you think this is? Ooh! Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling! Ah, yes, you see, now I don't know if it went behind the tree, if it went further up the tree. Gooey. That's pretty cool, though. It's not something we see too often, or I at least see too often on the Djuma Dam cam. Oh, there it is. You think you're sneaky? And these guys will, just like a lot of the other lizards and snakes and frogs and things, they will catch insects. So they again are responsible for parasite management. Almost said parasite population management. But which agama do you think this is? And if you are not familiar with the other ones, as I say, please do yourself a favor and go look them up, because there are times that they can look very similar. The tree agama, the distance ground agama. I think now it might become a little bit difficult to find this one again. But how cool was that? Want to have a look-see to see if our elephant is still hanging around. Samuel, you are saying it's a baby crocodile. Well, I mean, I cannot blame you for thinking that. It definitely does look that way, hey? And when you look at a lot of the lizards and a lot of the reptiles, you know, so many of them have so many similarities. So I definitely don't blame you for for saying it's a baby crocodile. Starbuck, good morning. Good to hear from you. You are saying a bearded lizard. No, it is not a bearded lizard. It is one of the agamas. Lyra, you are saying a tree agama. Yes, very much correct. Now, as I said, definitely, sorry, I just want to page to my agamas here in my Bush Bible, because I want to give you the actual references. So a distance ground agama, a southern rock agama, and a tree agama. Please do go research them and cross-reference them because they can look very similar. That one that we just saw was actually a very young male. So he was not huge, he's also not minute, but I don't know who of you saw, as soon as he came into the sun, there was a little bit of coloration on his head. And in Afrikaans, we do refer to them as a blauwkop koggelmander. So that means blue-head lizard, basically. And that is what it was. And of course, you know, the tree was also a dead giveaway. Not to say that the rock agama and the ground agama you cannot find on trees. But that one in particular that we just saw, that was in fact a tree agama, a young male. But again, if you are not too familiar with these guys, they are super fascinating. Please do go research them. I often wish, like the other naturalist, I can also show you my books and pictures and everything. But this just inspires me to have all of you go do a little bit of research. And nature is probably, for me personally at least, is probably one of the most fun things to learn about out here. Because there's always something new to learn. It's not like a certain degree or qualification in certain industries that, all right, you've now got the highest level of education. There's always something to learn and something to be discovered and explored out here. But that was so cool. That was actually a first for me. Oof, but I feel like we've got all the quizzes going. Of course, before we found our agama, I did ask what birds are good indicators of big animals when you're on foot. Just chilling, taking it easy. And again, I cannot tell you if this is mom or dad. They are a little bit difficult to actually ID, especially when they are just in the tree like this and you can merely see the head. Ellie is in view again. Wonderful, enjoying a little bit of shade. We shall call this elephant Steve. He seems to be hugging the tree. He literally seems like he's bonding or having a moment with this tree. And again, as I say every single time on Escape to Nature, you know, we don't always know why animals do what they do, how they really function. We think we know a lot about them, but I think we'll never truly fathom everything about them. But to our knowledge, to our research and experience and observation, we know that elephants have very, very good sense of smell, of hearing. So I'm wondering, does this elephant perhaps smell the actual nutrition running through that inner bark now, which is called the cambium? Does he hear it perhaps, the actual transportation of water, nutrients from the leaves to the roots? Because that's what a tree does, and that's why elephants, you know, sort of, to our terms, destruct trees, because they can hear that, they can smell that. And that's why they actually take the bark off of the tree, because everything nutritious is in the bark. The outside really is just a protective layer. So what is this elephant thinking right now? I don't think I've ever actually seen an elephant doing this for such a long time. Of course, we know that they shake the trees, you know, to let marulas and fruits and berries and all sorts of things fall. But just resting with a head against the trunk. Perhaps he's literally just taking a nap right now. Because elephants do have what we call a biohemispherical brain. And that entails them just literally switching off one side of the brain when they are doing something. Because I'm sure many of you have seen when we do see elephants on safari, whether it's in IR at night or during the day, you very rarely see elephants lying down. A big elephant like this, if he really wants to lie down, he can. If it's possible, he'll most probably use a termite mound, so it's easier to get up, but it's a massive animal. Every time he's tired, he can't lie down. Therefore, when they are busy feeding or just sort of moving around, they can switch off the one side of the brain and literally go onto autopilot. How incredible is that? How incredible that we just get to spend time with these animals and look at them closely and just really appreciate them in all their glory. But I'm going to continue doing just that, and for now I'm going to send you over to the beautiful Amakhala to see what they're up to.
Thanks, Lisa, and I'm going to totally And I 100% agree with you on that. I mean, to spend time with all the wildlife on a daily basis, it really is a big blessing. So it's lovely to be doing that with all of you. And we have obviously left those 3 male cheetah. We thought we'd just give them a little bit of space for now. And we took a drive into the dune thicket, and we were hoping to find some elephants because they were spotted around this morning. We followed a bit of their tracks and we could hear an elephant feeding, but he was just too far into the thicket, so we never got lucky with that. And so we've just taken a drive on the top section, and we've stopped here, and we're going to take a good look at this view. How can we not take a look at this? Incredible. Look at these clouds. It's incredible. It just really does accommodate everything that we're seeing out here. Just lovely. Just hearing a few birds calling. There's actually a white-browed scrub robin somewhere around here calling. Yes, it has been such a long time since I've heard them calling. It's interesting because if you go up into the further northern part, so yeah, even up all the way into the Kruger National Park and those sort of areas, white-browed scrub robin is not a difficult call because they're saying this, hey you, who you. But out here, oh, the white-browed scrub robin has got a little bit of a different dialect. They call in a different way. And often enough, if you ever hear a bird out here and you're just stumped and you don't know what bird is calling, but you can hear it, it is sometimes a white-browed scrub robin. You could hear a dark-capped bulbul a few moments ago as well. And some cicada beetles making this raucous sound just on my side here. Look at this. I'm just going to take out some binoculars. Let me just have a quick look out there.
Wild Earth's mission is an expensive one, but we know that our live experience is important to so many people that cannot afford to pay for it. We have added a donate button to our website. By donating, you are directly helping us share our free nature experiences with the world. We want Wild Earth to reach children, budding conservationists, and the less fortunate. A little money goes a long way. You can make a difference to someone today.
Now, it was actually supposed to get some rain earlier on. There was a prediction, but as I mentioned the other day, sometimes these weather apps are totally off. And I see that the rain doesn't seem to be coming our way, which is actually quite good, because then we're not going to get rained out and we can carry on. As soon as we start seeing a lot of the tortoise tracks crossing the roads, which we see, especially just before the rains and after the rain, that we're going to use as an indicator. So we'll see tomorrow what will happen when we head out. And while we're talking about the tortoises, there's actually 3 main species that are found here in Amakhala, but one of them is quite a rare species, and I'm still yet to see it. I've only seen the carapace, so one that had passed away, and it was the shell, and that is of the parrot-beak tortoise, and they're very interesting. Their mouths, actually, it looks like almost like a parrot's beak, but it curves down. And they do get sighted from time to time. I've never seen it, so one day is one day, I believe. Then leopard tortoise, that's the most prolific tortoise found out here, also known as the mountain tortoise, because they have been known to climb up mountains, which is always incredible. And then let's not forget the ungulate tortoise, or the geometric is another name for it. Much smaller tortoise, and they're also quite common on this reserve if you look in the right areas. Sadly now, with tortoises, the numbers have dwindled just over the last 20 years. You cannot believe the numbers of tortoises that have dwindled in their natural habitats. And the main cause for that is exotic pet trade. Can you believe it? It's a very big problem, and tortoises now are incredibly protected. And I have mentioned before that I've got a few tortoises that naturally made their own way into my garden in Port Alfred. And I always wonder if conservation ever had to pop by and find those tortoises, what they would say, because they did come naturally. But nowadays you just cannot keep them as pets at all. But yeah, just 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was a very popular thing to do. A lot of people here in South Africa had a pet tortoise for a while. I see that's calmed down quite a bit now, thankfully. Now there's actually quite a few bird calls here, and I'm struggling to identify. I don't know what bird is making that call. Alright, hello again everybody. Just in case you've just joined us, welcome again. My name's Andrew, that's Morgan just behind the camera. His thumb is going to come up, there it is. So far, updates are as follows. We had the 3 amigos to begin with. Lisa had a triagama, and then I think Ralph had some giraffe necking. So very different things seen in different locations. And of course, let's not forget this lovely view that we got going over here. Now, if you have any questions at any time, please do feel free. Get a hold of us. We'd love to hear your stories, anything that you've seen over the years, and just questions and comments. That would be lovely. Now let's take a good look at this this open environment out here. Just see if we can spot anything, any bird that's gonna maybe come by. Now actually, when it comes to bird watching, this sort of time of the day is, I'm not going to say it's the worst time of the day for bird watching, but a lot of the birds do calm down. And because of that, especially in midsummer, you find that the cicada beetles, they become very, very active at this time of the day, because most of the birds, they've stopped calling or calmed down their calls. And the cicada beetles just take that opportunity, that open window, if you will, and they get their sound heard.
Going on that yellowy tree.
Okay, Morgan wants to show you a tree over there. Is it this one on the side here, Morgan?
Yeah.
Okay, good show. So that looks to me like a wild crowberry, and some of the local people call it the kuni bush, wild crowberry. They do grow these little berries, if you will, and animals do eat them. Birds are very attracted to it as well, but they do grow in disturbed areas, we have noticed. And in this game reserve, oh man, they are full up, especially in the basin. There's quite a few of these wild crowberries. Now it still is part of the Rus family, but I know they're not using the word Rus anymore, which is part of the Latin name. It's just that Vercelli is the new beginning of the Latin name for this plant over here. No, sorry, I'm wrong. Vercelli is a sweet thorn, so this one is a Cercia. That's the one, Cercia. I haven't really seen elephants really going for them. I think elephants are preoccupied with a lot of other different types of vegetation out here, because especially in these dune forests and thickets, there's lots of trees and bushes growing in here. So ample choices and plenty of opportunity for them to feed on different things. And because of it, it does grow quite prolifically. It doesn't encroach or anything like that. The roots aren't destructive to other plants. And I think it's very important that the trees and plants do grow quite nicely out here and stay growing out here, because it's going to really make what we are on a sand dune, it's going to make it nice and established. What was that from Sergey, Morgan?
How everything works on the car.
You want to take a look at our car, Sergey? Okay, let's take a look here. All right. So, I like to call this my office. This is where I hang out over here. Here's my steering wheel. There's a speedometer. It's a little bit skew at the moment, so let me just...
I don't think it works like that.
I've actually straightened it before. Now, Sergey, this is a very important thing that we use. This is our radio. This helps us to, just communicate with everybody and also receive any reports of any animals. And if we break down, we can, of course, use this. This is our dashboard over here. I like to keep it nice and clean, because you just never know when the camera is going to be pointing on it, much like now. My sunglasses case. This is the handheld receiver. This little guy over here, this is our key that gets us into Carnarvondale, and that's where Pumalela hangs out. And on that, don't worry, we will give you an update on her as soon as we have one. Now this little bracket over here, as you can see, it's empty. Hint, hint, Marcel. That's where a monitor will go. So usually, when okay, I will do that. So the monitor is used for when Morgan is, pointing on something. I can see exactly what he's seeing on that monitor. Then I know what I need to talk about. Morgan's job, his job is to keep me nice and awake over here, make sure I'm not doing any naughty business, driving off road and doing those little things. And he also helps me spot a lot of animals as well, which is always a big help. And then to operate this big giant camera over here that I know nothing about. And I think this camera at the back here is probably one of the most technical things, because it's electronic, and you really need to be a good camera operator to manage these things. So yeah, that's Morgan's role. And this is my role. This is my office. That's Morgan's office over there. What do you think, Sergey? You want to come and join us? There's a seat over there. It's nice and open, so you can always come and join us. That would be nice. Thanks, Sergey. Really, that's cool. I've never done a a talk on what's going on with my car over here. This is a Land Rover Defender. It's a fairly old one, but it actually drives quite well. Amakala was very kind that they gave us this Land Rover to use indefinitely, and they have done so much work on this vehicle, and it's driving like a dream right now. I've got power steering, I've got nice brakes, and it's a cool vehicle. I'm getting really attached to this vehicle as we go on. Most of the vehicles that are used out here in this environment is more Land Cruiser, a bit more reliable if the lodges can afford them, because they're expensive. I think Land Rover's quite ideal for places like the Kalahari, where you have those sand dunes that are very sandy, and then semi-mountainous areas as well. Land Rovers do very well there. Sergey, you must show me your office one day. I see Morgan, our director, she's having a good time laughing at us there. But yeah, we're going to send you to Lisa at Ukukuyo. Let her explain a little bit about her office as well.
Andrew, you know what my office is. It used to be your office, as you were the one that trained me. But yes, technically this is my virtual office, Okukoyo as well as Gowrie Dam in Djuma. However, my actual physical office is not as entertaining as yours, Andrew. I've got a desk with 3 monitors in front of me, one of them in front of me. One of them has got Djuma Dam Cam, one of them has got Ukukoyo, and the other one has got the actual show, so that I can also, just like our viewers, see what is happening on Sunset Safari and Sunrise Safari, but specifically Escape to Nature, so that I can also see what you guys see and enjoy the show with you. And of course also stay updated with what is happening on your side of the world. So not as exciting as yours. But nonetheless, very, very cool to be actually spending time with these animals, even if it is virtually. And then I also, on my one monitor, I've got a system on which we communicate with one another, the Zoomies and I, and to also see, some of the updates that are coming through. So a lot of screens. My mother would swear if she saw this, or curse. She always used to shout at my brother if he was just looking at one monitor. So I've got 3, Mom. Hope you're not listening. But it is super interesting. And as I said, such a massive privilege to actually be spending time with the animals and to see what is happening, not just in other parts of the country. I mean, right now, Namibia is a different country than South Africa. So it's literally like a studio. It's very, very intriguing. But yes, I'm here by myself in this office, and then Morgan and all of our lovely directors are just in the FC office, but of course I've got them in my ear and they are literally just 3 steps away, so if we need to chat about something I can always just run over, or they can come here. Yes, Morgan, I was just going to sing that. Morgan is saying I'm not all by myself. But technically I am in my little studio office. But yes, you are right there. So if I go for a quick cup of coffee or grab a cookie out of the out of the cupboard, I can always meet you guys there and we can have a quick gossip session. But we do also chat to each other on the phone via messages if we need to communicate with one another, and of course we've all got earpieces in our ear. However, it was very interesting. It was very, very interesting to be on drive with Tess and Panda, and constantly they were giggling and I'm like, what are we laughing about, guys? Because unfortunately I didn't have an earpiece and Morgan in my ear, so but it's not just our wonderful directors in the office. It is also our superb tech team. Vincent and Sipiwe. And let me tell you, I know I often give you guys little bits of info of the people behind the scenes, but Sipiwe is probably the naughtiest team member at Wild Earth. He really is very mischievous. And Sipiwe, we love you, but you need to get it under control, eh? No, I'm just kidding, of course. They are wonderful at what they do, and of course, without our tech team, none of this would be possible. We would not be able to come to you live. They fix the cameras very quickly. They fix the signal issues very quickly. So again, incredible to think that we are watching animals live right now as it's happening in Namibia. What is that? Yay! I apologize if you are now deaf. Look at this. We have not seen elephants. I personally have not seen elephants in Okokweyo in literally days. It's been quite a while for me. And today we have Ellies in Okokweyo as well as Juma. And Rolf and Andrew did not have elephants. Generally, it's the other people that always have elephants, and I'm like, oh well. Yay, so happy for you guys. This is really so funny. It's incredible how Mother Nature just works sometimes. Sometimes you don't see all that many animals, and other times it's just like a lucky packet. You never know what you're going to find. It's so ironic because our other elephant in Juma just came back into view now as well. But these three I have not seen in, as I say, a rather long time. So the dynamic with these three elephants, two of them are always together. And then one of them is generally by himself, and sometimes he joins up with the other two. But it's a very weird dynamic. They are all older bulls. So we do know that, you know, males do break away from the herds and they sort of do their own thing. But especially with these three, it's a very fascinating dynamic because I've seen two of them gang up on the one and then he just sort of goes his own way again. Perhaps that is literally 3 is a crowd. It's not always fair. But it would be super interesting to actually, and again, you know, it's impossible. We can't monitor all of the animals. We can't know all of the animals. Unfortunately, we don't follow them on social media, so we don't know when their birthdays are and how old they are. But definitely older bulls, specifically this one in front, you can see is very old. But all of them really, if you look at the forehead, Look at the actual body size, the tusks. They are definitely older gentlemen, but this one in front, you can see he's got very thick tusks. That's generally how I ID him, and he's got a way bigger forehead than the other two. So the other two at the back, they are always together. And this one in front, as I say, sometimes he's with him, sometimes he's by himself. You know, at times we just see the two of them coming down. At other times we just see this one coming down. But it's very interesting. I wonder if there's a sort of a communication that goes on with them like it does within a herd. You know, the matriarch communicating with the rest of the members, telling them, all right, children, we are now moving on. Or do these guys have specific dates? All right, Fred, Harry, we'll see you again on the 8th. Let's catch a drink at midday, and we'll see how we feel after that. We can split up or stick together again. But as I say, the two on the right, they have ganged up on this older one before, which is not the wisest thing in my opinion. I mean, I think you could really do some damage. But also, how old are they? Are they related? What is the story? But this is so cool. I've not seen elephants in a while. And today we got to see elephants at both of our water holes. Djuma and Ukukoyo.
Thanks to our wonderful Wild Earth explorers, Wild Earth Kids is back. Your monthly subscriptions have allowed us to relaunch Wild Earth Schools on a weekly basis, every Wednesday for the first hour of the Sunset Safari.
You guys bring a smile to my face every single day.
Sign your class up for a special virtual field trip to Africa, because touching the lives of the future protectors of our Earth truly matters.
But what an absolutely incredible day we've had. Elephants here and in Juma, hippo, the parrots that came out beautifully for us, some necking giraffes with Rolf and Kariga, and then of course Andrew had the cheetahs, beautiful landscapes. It has been such a brilliant day, and of course, as always, none of it is possible without any of you. All of your questions, your comments, your suggestions, the mere fact that all of you choose to spend your Saturday with us is such a blessing and a privilege, really. So thank you as always for tuning in and joining us. And please do stay tuned, as well as join us for Sunset Safari this afternoon. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I always say that, but I always think that, so I think it's definitely justified. But of course, thank you to our wonderful, amazing directors in FC as well, and our awesome tech team. And then from Andrew in Amakala, as well as Morgan, his cameraman. Thank you so much. From Rolf, who's trying to still not blow away in Kariga. Thank you from his side as well. And then from my side, I love that you guys always send us your questions, your comments. You love interacting with us. I know we did not do a lot of questions for the quiz today, but I've definitely enjoyed it a lot. Hopefully we can do some more tomorrow if you're interested. It's always interesting learning some new things, especially, something like the Trails Guide Manual. Not everyone has access to it. Not everyone knows about it. Because, of course, that's mostly for guides that are physically training and studying and practicing to become actual walking safari guides. Oh, but let's just take the last few minutes just to embrace this beauty. Holly, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your last minute comment. Oh, absolutely. The perfect way to end our nature escape. With elephants, with all of the other animals as well. And as I say, the bigger animals are of course always a bonus. But what an incredible day it has been. We have been so privileged and so blessed just to spend time with all of these animals. And as I say, stay tuned. Join us for Sunset Safari. Join us again tomorrow. I will be back for Escape to Nature again tomorrow, and hopefully we see a lot more interesting things. But how lucky have we been today? And what a perfect way to end the show, as you say, Holly. Oh, how wonderful must this be, just to cool off in this heat, splashing, mud bathing, just literally quenching your thirst. Oh, what a way to spend the Saturday. And again, even after Escape to Nature, you can definitely keep an eye on the cameras as well, either via the app or YouTube. But again, thank you so much for a wonderful Escape to Nature, and I hope everyone has a beautiful Saturday, whether you are perhaps working, spending some time with family. And again, thank you so much for spending your Saturday with us. It really means a lot. But I will see you all tomorrow, and I'm very excited for tomorrow. Looking forward to your questions, comments. But for now, have a beautiful Saturday.